King of the Hill.
What's up, Halo fans, and welcome back to another episode of How to Get Better at Halo Reach. Now, the game type we're going to be looking at in this episode is Nexus King of the Hill. I put a poll out on Twitter and everyone voted to have a little bit of a review of this game type because it is one of the most complicated and difficult to understand in the hardcore playlist. Now, first up, we're going to be talking about callouts on this map because in King of the Hill, it's absolutely vital to be able to communicate information to your teammates effectively. The first place we're looking here is called Back Red. Next up, we're going to move to one of the most important and influential spots on the map, and this is known as the Mauler or the Closet. From here we move across to Top Red. Now this is such an influential position on the map, not because you can just put shots across, but you can relay so much information to your teammates on where your opponents are. From here we move across to the Snipe Side V or Triangle, and this is a good position for putting shots down on the Snipe side of the map. And then on the other side of the base, we have the Hillside V or Triangle, which is going to be contesting the hill and putting shots down. We then move to the Garden area or the bottom rocks area that you can see here. And then we have the Red Slide up to, of course, the top hill.
Hill controlled.
On the top hill, we move across to top middle, and then we move into the snipe area of the map. On that blockage where that sniper rifle is going to spawn. As we then move through to Red Plat, move across to the front of the base. This is called front base or front red. And then we have bottom green here where the grenade launcher will spawn. And then we have the lift all the way up to that first hill. The next thing to discuss is the hill rotation. Now the hill will move every 120 seconds to a new location on the map, and it will follow the same repeat pattern. The top middle hill will always be the first hill. It will then rotate to the red base, where it will be on the red plat. It will then rotate back to the top middle hill before moving over to the opposite side of the map on the blue plat. Now let's talk about setups. And setups are effectively positions that you all need to be on your team in order to cover as many angles as you can to stop the opponents pushing. We're going to start off by focusing on the player in the hill and what angles you need to watch in order to scrap up some hill time. Now this is one of the most difficult hills to control, the top hill. Your job from the hill is to shoot these angles here, to the window, to the Vs, and just do as much damage and listen to callouts as positively as you can. You're not going to be in a great position to hold this position down because obviously you'll be coming under a lot of fire, so feel free to back up at any point to the slide if you feel you're coming under too much pressure, use your grenades, and then repeat to scrap up hill time.
Control.
The next player should be positioned in the window. Now this could be on either red or blue base, but ideally you want to position yourself on the side of the map that the hill will be rotating to next. The next player should be positioned either here on the slide or in the V. He can then move up and help the hill player, but also he's going to be able to watch any spawners who try and push up the slides. The final player should be positioned on the opposite side of the map on the Mauler spawn. This is to put shots down, and you're generally just being a nuisance and trying to stop the spawners in the Mauler that can push up and easily put shots on your hill player. Now, one thing I do want to point out on this top hill is it's not as easy as just holding down certain positions on the map. Nexus gives a lot of funky spawns, and essentially the idea behind these positions is that you're going to restrict those spawns to slightly more predictable ones. Now we'll take a look at setup and positioning for the plat hills. This is when they rotate to the red and blue base, and again we'll start off with the hill player. Now your main job is to watch the bottom green area as well as the top mid push. Your job here is to stay alive for as long as possible and scrap up hill time while laying down shots for your opponents to clean up. You can also use the cover very effectively inside of this hill to defend yourself from pushes. If there's a push bottom green, you can use this column. You can also use this column here to protect yourself from anyone pushing in on the snipe side of the map. There is a lot of cover in this hill for you to be able to scrap up extra points on this King of the Hill game type, but also to stay alive and live to fight another day. The second player should position themselves in the window, the power position on the map. Your job is to watch bottom green, to watch the top mid push, but also across to the other window, the jump up that you can see here, and you can also put shots on players, even off of the respawn, trying to sneak across the map. Now, a little note here for players who are playing this position, try and stand on the back of this top area. If you stand here, as you can see as I shake my head, you basically make it a little bit more difficult for yourself to get away and expose too much of your player model, whereas you can just stand a little bit further back, escape a little bit easier, and make yourself a more difficult target. The third player should be positioned here on the V. Use this cover to fight opponents coming through snipe and over the jump up, and to help that hill player stay alive and fight those battles around the hill. The The final player should be playing around this area. It's more of a fluid position, but holding down this slide is always a good idea. Keeping yourself covered from the players pushing across top middle, but also helping out and listening to communication to clean up kills your teammates are starting. Now, the next thing I really want to stress in Nexus King of the Hill is how influential the spawns are in the Mauler. Now, even if you have a complete setup on the side of the map that you're controlling, if you leave this spawn open at any point when you get kills on the map, the likelihood is your opposite team will spawn here. So it's such a vital thing to do when you get 1 or 2 dead as a team, to check that Mauler spawn and make sure that players will not be spawning behind you. Even if they are and you're aware, you should be able to clean up these kills pretty comfortably and then push the respawns back across the other side of the map. Some additional information on how to play this King of the Hill game type that I want to kind of stress is how vital communication is. You need to be shooting the same targets, and you need to be making sure that you're telling your teammates to back down, stay alive, get out of the hill, get into the hill when you have that opportunity. One other thing that's very important is rotating across the map just before the next hill moves. What I mean by this is if you're stuck at the blue base and the hill is about to spawn on the red base, you need to get your team across to hold down those spawns and hold down that side of the map as the hill moves. So that's it for this episode. A very basic rundown of Nexus King of the Hill. The takeaways that I would put, like I've stressed before, is communication, making sure you know the callouts on this map, and make sure that at all times you are aware of those Mauler spawns. If you can control those, you can control the game, you'll have no nasty surprises, and you should pick up some wins.